Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is Peaky Blinders, seasons 1 through 5, leading up to the 6th and final season. Welcome to Birmingham, England in 1919. It's a real nice place if you like industrial wastelands where everything's always on fire. Tommy Shelby is the leader of the biggest gang here, the Peaky Blinders. So named because they sew razor blades in their hats, and they go for the eyes. They're in the business of betting on horse races, which is apparently extremely profitable. It's a family business. Tommy's older brother Arthur is the angry one. His younger brother John is the dumb one. There's also his sister Ada and his aunt Polly Gray, who was running the business while the boys were off fighting in World War I. Tommy is the smart one who's always got some master plan he's keeping to himself. But one day during a routine robbery, the Peaky Blinders accidentally steal some high-tech military-grade machine guns the British military was secretly shipping. Losing those guns is a big deal. It comes to the attention of Winston Churchill himself. And so he sends in a specialist to get them back. It's Chief Inspector Campbell. He's a real hard-ass who's willing to fight dirty, and he's been authorized to use excessive force. Suspect 1 are the Peaky Blinders themselves, but he's also concerned about communist agitators like Freddie Thawne, who's inciting the workers to strike. Incidentally, Freddie Thawne is dating Ada Shelby and gets her pregnant. At first, Tommy wants to kill him, but these two are old childhood friends and war buddies, so he gets permission to marry her. But Inspector Campbell's most worried about Suspect 3, the IRA. Without getting too deep into Irish history, Ireland's rebelling against England, and the IRA would love to get their hands on those guns. Speaking of Irish, there's a new girl in town. It's Grace, who gets a job bartending at the Peaky Blinders bar, the Garrison. Tommy instantly takes a liking to her, but Grace has a secret. She's working undercover for Inspector Campbell. She was from a loyalist Irish family, and her father was killed by the IRA, so her beef is personal. Eventually, Tommy meets with Inspector Campbell and tells him he has the guns, but not where they're hidden. It's like, look, I'm about to make a big move in the illegal horse betting business. If you stay out of my way, afterwards I'll give you the guns. So first, Tommy gets his friend Johnny Dogs to arrange a parlay with the Lee brothers. They're a Romani gang in the area, and actually the Shelby brothers are half Romani themselves on their mother's side. But for now, Tommy picks a fight. They're going to war with the Lees, and as is tradition, they inscribe Tommy's name on a bullet. This one's for you. Meanwhile, Tommy's been fixing horse races, which comes to the attention of the big horse race boss, Billy Kimber. At first, he's gonna kill Tommy for fixing races without his permission, but Tommy's like, hey, look, I'm at war with the Lees, and they're at war with you right now too. We should join forces. Yes, this is part of Tommy's master plan. He picked a fight with the Lees on purpose to get in with Billy Kimber so he can later overthrow him. Arthur's like, hey bro, how about a heads up next time? So Tommy takes Grace to the Derby, and these two start their romance. And while the Lee boys are stealing from Billy Kimber's men, now the Peaky Blinders are here to steal right back. So Tommy's proved his worth to Billy Kimber, and as a reward wants a legal betting license. As part of the deal though, Billy Kimber wants Grace, and Tommy's gonna give her to him. But he busts in to save her, saying, hey, sorry man, you don't want this girl though, she got the clap. Grace is like, wow, thanks, I guess. And so the deal goes through. The Peaky Blinders are now partially legal. It's the start of the Shelby Brothers Limited. Meanwhile, John wants to get married. He's fallen in love with Lizzy Stark, who is the town prostitute. In fact, she's Tommy's go-to prostitute, and it's like, hey, I hear you're marrying my brother, but how about one more go for old time's sake? She's like, oh, Tommy, sure, why not? But it was a test. She was supposed to say no. He's like, I'm not gonna let you marry my brother. Tommy has a different bride in mind for his brother, Esme of the Lee family. Yeah, they're gonna unite the clans. It's a good match. These two are constantly doing it. And now that they've made peace, the Shelby and Lee families are united. They're gonna team up and take down Billy Kimber. Meanwhile, Grace is still reporting back to Inspector Campbell. Tommy's really started to trust her, and because she's good at math, lets her help with the business. But one day, Arthur lets slip where the guns are hidden. Danny Whizbang fought in the war with Tommy, but is suffering from some serious PTSD. In fact, all the boys are. The only way Tommy can ever sleep is with the help of opium. But one day, Danny freaks out and kills an Italian, so the Italian gang demands justice. There's nothing for it. Tommy's gotta kill his friend. Except he didn't kill him. They managed to fake it. They did bury something, though. That's where they hid the stolen guns. Congrats, Grace. You did a great job. In fact, hey, do you want to marry me? But Grace is like, oh, no. You're like a father to me, so she puts him in the dad zone. In fact, she's fallen in love with Tommy, and these two get it on. Then finally, the day has come. Tommy's making his move on Billy Kimber. But he had marked it on the calendar back when Grace was still reporting to Campbell, so Campbell tipped off Billy Kimber, and Billy Kimber comes down in force before Tommy's ready. The Peaky Blinders are vastly outmanned, but they are not outgunned because Tommy kept one of the machine guns. They just used it to break Freddie Thawne out of prison, and now he's here to even the odds. But then Ada Shelby comes with their new baby like, hey, y'all men, stop fighting. And Billy Kimber agrees. The only one that needs to die is Tommy. He takes the shot. But the bullet is blocked by Danny Whizbang, and Tommy, boom, takes out Billy Kimber. The rest of the guys just go home. So Tommy wins, though it's bittersweet because he finds out Grace was the undercover cop. He still loves her though, and she's like, Tommy, I'm sorry, let's run away together and leave this world behind us. Tommy considers it. He flips a coin to make the decision for him. But it's not Tommy that shows up at the train station. It's the jealous wannabe lover, Inspector Campbell, here to kill her. A gunshot rings out, and season 1 ends on a cliffhanger. Season 2 picks up right there, and we find out it was Grace who fired the shot from her burst gun, hitting Campbell and fleeing off to America. So now 2 years later, Tommy Shelby and the Peaky Blinders are now the top horse racing crime gang in northern England. But you know the big fish is down in the south it's London. The Shelby brothers go down there and start some trouble with the Italian crime boss Sabini, but Tommy may be punching above his weight because Sabini immediately tracks him down and is gonna kill him. But he's saved at the last minute when the cops show up, including one with a badass wolf's head cane. It is Inspector Campbell. Yes, he survived. Grace hit him in the leg, and he's meaner than ever. He blackmails Tommy into working for him, assassinating Irish revolutionaries so that if he's caught, it'll look like organized crime and not the English government. In the meantime, Tommy's plan of expanding into London involves befriending Alfie Solomons, leader of the Jewish gang, played by Tom Hardy. He is a hilarious character who talks nonstop in his weird rambling mumbly voice. But now working together, the Jews and the Peaky Blinders are trouncing the Italians, and around this time is when the show's catchphrase really gets going.
By order of the Peaky Blinders.
Arthur Shelby, by the way, had a plot last season where he got totally scammed by their dad. He felt bad after this, tried to hang himself, but failed. His dad beat his ass in the boxing ring, so now Arthur's gotten really into boxing, and his unbridled rage, he accidentally kills a kid one day. Arthur feels bad, but someone introduces him to cocaine, and now he feels great. Freddie Thawne died unceremoniously during the time jump from an illness, and Ada mostly doesn't want anything to do with the family, and John just keeps doing whatever John does. Aunt Polly this season tracks down her son, Michael, who was taken from her as a baby by Child Services. Michael's a real nice kid, and at first Polly wants to keep him far away from the business, but Michael wants to be part of it. Eventually they compromise, and he becomes the accountant just for the legal part of the business. Lizzy Stark is still the girl Tommy goes to for his sexual needs. She's like, Tommy, we're basically friends with benefits, you don't have to pay me, but he always does. And pretty soon he also hires her as his personal assistant. When he goes to buy a horse, Tommy finds a new romance in noblewoman May Carleton. They go for a drink where she's like, look, we are definitely not having sex, but then immediately do. But also, Grace is back in town visiting with her American husband. She and Tommy go for a drink where she's like, look, we are definitely not having sex, but then immediately do. Eventually, Tommy's given his final assassination mission, and to ensure his compliance, Inspector Campbell has his cousin Michael arrested. His mother Polly's not gonna let that stand. She goes to see Campbell herself, and he's a real dirty dog. She sleeps with him to get Michael released. Then the tide turns on the London gang war front when Sabini convinces Alfie Solomons to turn on the Peaky Blinders and rejoin him. So Tommy goes to Alfie to renegotiate, and they're just gonna kill him, but Tommy's like, hey, remember when I tied my shoe coming in? I planted a grenade that'll blow this whole place up. It's a hilarious, tense conversation as Alfie tries to decide if Tommy's bluffing or not, but in the end it's like, hey man, you're crazy, alright, you got a deal. And so it's time for the big climax on Derby Day. Tommy has to make his final move against Sabini and also assassinate some guy for the British government. Just then Grace shows up to add more to his plate. She's pregnant, and it's definitely Tommy's because her husband's sterile. She's like, Tommy, I still love you, and he's like, alright girl, I'll deal with this later. So Tommy kills this guy and blames it on the IRA, and since the King of England's here, they pull all the cops to come protect him, including the dirty cops that were protecting Sabini's men, so without their protection, the Peaky Blinders swoop in and take all his territory. The police do pick up Tommy though, but turns out these aren't real cops. These are Inspector Campbell's guys who he assigned to kill Tommy after his job was done. But just as Campbell thinks he won, Aunt Polly comes in for her revenge, shoots him, don't f the Peaky Blinders. Unfortunately for Tommy though, this looks like the end. But what's this? One of these guys betrays and shoots the other two. Congrats, Mr. Shelby, you get to live, cause Winston Churchill isn't done with you yet. Yeah, Campbell hated Tommy because of the Grace thing and wanted to kill him after the job was done, but his boss Winston Churchill saw Tommy was a war hero and is like, nah, I kinda like this guy. So as season 2 ends, Tommy Shelby has won on all fronts. Season 3 begins on Tommy and Grace's wedding day. Her American husband conveniently died. Tommy's got a son now, and as the top crime boss of all England, Tommy's legitimately very rich. It's a beautiful wedding, but business never stops because that very night he's working out a deal with the Russians. Some former Russian nobles are here in exile after the Communist Revolution. The British government wants to sell them tanks to take back their country and stop the spread of communism, but for diplomatic reasons they can't do it legally, so they go to their go-to criminal, Tommy Shelby. He's branched out from horse betting. The Shelby Brothers Limited have a whole legal shipping empire now, but they're still illegally shipping alcohol to America during Prohibition. But this organization is not run by Tommy's friend Winston Churchill. It's run by a creepy pedo priest who represents a clandestine British intelligence organization called the Economic League, or Section D. Now the Peaky Blinders are the top dogs. The other gangs have to pay tribute to them, but they've gone too far with Mr. Changretta when John has a personal beef and blinds his son. And so at a fancy party, he tries to have Tommy assassinated, but oh, Grace is the one who gets hit, and no, Grace dies. Tommy goes to a real dark place and wants to torture Mr. Changretta to death, but Arthur shoots him like, come on, Tommy, we don't do that. So Tommy has depressed rebound sex with the Russian Duchess, Tatiana Petrovna. She seems like the fun, sexy kind of crazy, but turns out she's just like full-on crazy. In fact, one night while they're doing it, she chokes him out until he almost passes out so he can hallucinate Grace. Thanks, I guess. Now checking in with the family, Arthur Shelby also got married to a nice girl named Linda who's a devout Christian and made him pretty boring. Aunt Polly starts dating a painter, Ada gets a job at the library, and John just keeps doing whatever John does. And so the Russian tank deal is moving forward, but Tommy finds out the pedo priest is leaking their plan to the Soviet embassy. Tommy goes to kill him, but oh, this guy was one step ahead. Turns out that's part of Section D's D's full plan. They're leaking the tank deal to the Soviets so they'll blow up the train, and after an act of violence on British soil, the government will have just cause to act against the Soviets publicly. So Tommy pretends to keep going through with the deal. He brings in Alfie Solomons to pick out which jewels he wants from the Russians as payment. He doesn't trust them to pay up though, so he's digging a tunnel. He's gonna steal all the jewels anyway. Then he sabotages the tanks and tells the Soviets, hey, they were trying to trick you to blowing it up, now you don't have to. But Pedo Priest got word of Tommy's betrayal and captures his son. It's like, hey, now you're gonna give us all the jewels you steal, and now you guys better blow up that train. So Tommy's gotta go for the tunnel. He was a tunneler back in the war, steal the jewels. His brother's prepared to blow the train, while cousin Michael goes to rescue Tommy's son. Yes, Michael's a really smart guy, been helping to run more and more of the legal business, but he kinda likes that gangster life. He wants to get into the other parts too. So he confronts Pedo Priest, who turns out pedoed him when he was a kid, so he kills him slow. So when Tommy gets his son back, it's too late. Arthur and John didn't get the cancel orders. Boom, they blow up that train. Tommy gets to keep half the gems too. Turns out he's splitting them with the Duchess. It was her idea to steal them from her parents. Tommy finds out it was Alfie Solomons who betrayed his plan to Section D, but Alfie's like, hey man, I'm too funny of a minor character to kill. You gotta keep me around. And so again, Tommy has won, more or less. This Russian deal was more trouble than it was worth. Also, the remaining members of Section D want to cover this up, and so the cops are on their way here right now to arrest the whole family. Tommy's like, don't worry guys, I have a plan. I've already started working out a deal, but it's like, how about a little heads up next time? And so season 3 ends as the entire Shelby family, except for Tommy, is going to jail. So in season 4, Tommy Shelby's getting his family released because in the Russians' basement he found a letter from the King of England authorizing that arms deal. They can't let that get out, they've got to do what Tommy says. But Section D is playing dirty. They sneakily move up the executions, and looks like the whole Shelby family gonna get hanged. It's not till the very last minute they get the stay of execution. As a part of Tommy's deal, he also negotiated a ton more government contracts and an OBE, which is a real fancy British thing. So 1 year later, Thomas Shelby, OBE, is a legitimately fancy English gentleman. What is this new look? I hate it. And his whole family hates him now for almost getting him killed. It's only his personal assistant, Lizzy Stark, who stuck by him, but he still treats her like a prostitute. Michael has stuck by Tommy too, helping him run the whole business. He's clearly Tommy's protege and successor. Arthur's grown out long hair, living the quiet country life with his wife Linda, who's really tamed his wild side. And John Shelby, also retired, just keeps doing whatever John does. But this piece is interrupted when they all receive a black hand from the New York Italian Mafia. Yes, it is Adrian Brody as Luca Changretta, the other son of Mr. Changretta they killed. He moved to New York and rise through the ranks. He's now a top boss over there, come back to Birmingham to revenge his father. So the family has to come back together to face this new threat, and the gang's back in Birmingham for more epic slow-mo walking shots. Michael goes to warn John, but John's like, hey, I can take care of myself. But just then, oh, more assassins, and John is shot. Oh! Michael gets it too. Luckily, he's okay, but John Shelby is dead in the bleak midwinter. Now, by the way, there is a fourth Shelby brother. It's young Finn, who is like 10 years behind him, but he's almost an adult now, so it's time for him to join the business. The Peaky Blinders gear up for war, and Tommy hires one more soldier. It's Aiden Gillian, Littlefinger, as Aberama Gold. He's a Romani hitman, and you know he means business cause of that ridiculous hair. He's actually kind of a nice guy though, and since her brush with death, Aunt Polly's feeling wild and free, these two get it on. But even with all the security, Luca Changretta makes it to see Tommy. He's on a whole different level. It's like, Tommy, I could kill you whenever I want. He wants to kill Tommy's whole family first though and save Tommy for last. Assassins come for Arthur, but he survives by going back into beast mode. Yes, being back in Birmingham, he's letting the wild side out now, and even his wife Linda's like, oh well, when in Rome, she kinda becomes a party girl too. Meanwhile, there's a new character this season, Jessie Eden, a women's labor activist, and she actually organizes a big women's strike. Eventually though, they go for a drink where she's like, hey, we are definitely not having sex, and they don't. That night anyway, a few days later, they get it on. But Tommy still hooks up with Lizzy Stark sometimes, and the one time he doesn't pay her, she gets pregnant. Soon though, he's like, hey girl, you convinced me, I'm on the side of workers now, let me in on your whole communist revolution. But he's playing both sides because he also goes to the British government like, hey, I'm infiltrating the communist revolution for you, I'll bring you agitators in exchange for more money for me. One day, Aunt Polly has a secret meeting with Luca Changretta. I'll give up Tommy if you spare my son Michael. Luca goes to visit Michael just to prove he could kill him, but he doesn't. It's like, tell your Aunt Polly we got a deal. And when push comes to shove, Michael does not warn Tommy about Aunt Polly's betrayal. So Luca's got Tommy trapped, or is it Tommy who has Luca trapped? Yes, he's got a machine gun here, but gun technology's come a long way since then. It ends in a draw. Of course, Polly wouldn't betray Tommy. This was all Tommy's plan to lure Luca into a trap. But Tommy's pretty mad at Michael now for not warning him, so he exiles him off to handle the business in America. And so it's the big climax at a boxing match. Aberama Gold's son is a small guy, but a really great fighter, versus Alfie Solomons' fighter, a real big guy they call Goliath. But Arthur notices that some of Alfie Solomons' coaches don't seem to know anything about boxing. Yes, Luca got to him first and made him an offer he couldn't refuse to betray Tommy again. So these hitmen, oh, strangle Arthur. Tommy gets there to save him, but he's too late! Arthur is dead! After this, Luca Changretta feels like he's pretty much won. He's realized it'll hurt Tommy more if he lets him live, having taken everything from him. But Tommy once again had a secret master plan that he didn't tell us about until just this moment. He made a deal with other crime bosses in New York that wanted to take out Luca but couldn't do it on that turf, but can do it here in England. And turns out Arthur survived! They faked his death so Luca drop his guard. He shoots Luca Changretta. Don't f with the Peaky Blinders. He tracks down Alfie Solomons again, who betrayed him again, and this time they shoot each other. Tommy leaves him for dead. And so once again, Tommy has won. With no higher he could possibly climb, Tommy Shelby retires. But he's been fighting so long, he doesn't know how to retire. He goes on an awful depression bender. He finally decides retirement's not for me. He's got an idea of how to climb even higher. Tommy decides to run for Parliament, and being that he owns Birmingham, he wins. He's got a new baby daughter now, and to be respectable, he marries Lizzy Stark. Sorry, Jessie Eden. And so as season 4 comes to an end, Tommy Shelby, the bookie from Birmingham, has made it to Parliament. Season 5 begins with another time jump to October 29th, 1929. If you paid attention in history class, you know that's the day of the big stock market crash. Now Tommy, being a savvy guy, saw this coming and told Michael to pull all their funds out. But over in America, Michael's been living the good life with his new girlfriend, Gina, Anya Taylor-Joy. Michael thought he knew better. He did not sell, and so the Shelby family fortune has evaporated. The crash has put all their legal business in disarray, so it's time to pivot and refocus on the off-the-books illegal business. And so the Shelbys are back in Birmingham once again. Michael Gray comes back to Birmingham too, ready for the family to meet his new wife Gina. But Michael's in big trouble right now, not just for losing their money, but because someone tipped off Tommy that he was meeting with people trying to take Tommy down. Michael denies this, but until they can prove his innocence, he's in the doghouse. Someone is trying to take Tommy down. They leave him a crucified scarecrow in his yard with landmines, which Tommy carefully removes. This time it's a Scottish gang, the Billy Boys, who come out of the woods singing their own theme song. Their leader is Jimmy McCavern, a real bad dude who pays a visit to Aberama Gold, who's cut his dumb hair and grown an awesome mustache. But they force him to watch as they kill his son. Tell Tommy Shelby we're coming for him. So Aberama goes on the warpath to get revenge. It's fun times in Scotland, but Tommy's busy down in Parliament, where it turns out being a politician is pretty similar to being a gangster. Tommy's with the Labour Party, he's a champion of the people, and he's a very good speaker, which attracts the attention of one Oswold Mosley. He's like, hey man, you're really good at getting the support of the common people. How would you like to do a slight pivot from communism into fascism? Now Tommy is not into fascism, but he's like, sure man, I'm in. Because just like with communism, he's going undercover and reporting to British intelligence. His contact these days is Colonel Ben Younger, who incidentally has struck up a relationship with his sister Ada, and she's pregnant, though she hasn't told him yet. Tommy's pivot to fascism attracts the attention of Winston Churchill, who we haven't seen since season 2. He's like, Tommy, you're not actually a fascist, right? And it's like, no, I'm going undercover to take him down. And it's like, righto, then carry on, chap. So Tommy pretends to befriend Oswold Mosley, who is just an awful person. He's basically an English Hitler. In fact, he's also recruited the Billy Boys to the fascist movement. It's like, hey, you guys gotta squash your beef, we're on the same side now. Meanwhile, Linda is mad at Arthur for reasons I don't fully understand. I think she doesn't like who she's become when she's around him. In fact, she's been going back to church where she met a guy, and they are just friends, but Arthur goes down there and does some peaky blinding on him. So at Tommy's fancy ballet party, Linda comes to crash it. She's gonna shoot Arthur, but boom, oh, Aunt Polly shoots her first. Aberama Gold had just proposed to her, so these two were getting it on nearby. Linda survives, though she's pretty mad, and Arthur tries to apologize, says they go back to the way things were, but she doesn't want to hear it. She leaves him for good. Tommy's marriage with Lizzy Stark is not perfect either. He doesn't love her. He's still in love with Grace. In fact, Tommy's been chugging opium this season so he can hallucinate Grace, and he's been having suicidal thoughts so he can see her again. But these two do care about each other. They're basically long-term friends with benefits, so it works out. Long story short, Tommy gets some evidence against Mosley, but when he gives it to Younger, oh, a car bomb! Mosley had more influence than we realized. And this especially sucks for poor Ada. And so Tommy realizes Mosley's too dangerous, he's gotta kill him. Tommy calls a Shelby family meeting, but before he can even start, Michael interrupts him. Okay, go ahead. Now since the market crashed to make extra money, the Peaky Blinders have gotten into the heroin business with the Chinese. Now Michael's crunched the numbers, and if they expand that business into America with the help of Gina's family, who apparently has criminal connections there, the drug business is gonna be way more profitable than everything else they do combined. In fact, he's drawn up a new business plan for the Shelby Company Limited, where Tommy would basically retire and Michael would take over. Tommy's like, okay, Michael, let me see that. Nope, straight in the trash. Get the hell out of here, you're banished again. But his wife Gina's like, well, I guess it's plan B then. Is Michael planning to betray Tommy? Even his mom's pretty mad at him for this. In fact, Aunt Polly resigns from the business. She's like, look, if it's a war between you and Michael, I can't be involved. So with that out of the way, it's family meeting round 2, where Tommy's like, all right, so who wants to assassinate a fascist? So at the big Mosley rally, he's not playing coy anymore. He's going full-on fascist, make Britain great again. A big part of Mosley's speech, by the way, is blame everything on the Jews. And speaking of Jews, it's Alfie Solomons. He survived. survived. Tommy's decided to mostly forgive him. He is just too funny and likable to kill. So he helps organize a riot that serves as the signal for the assassination. But wait, what's this? Oh, Sniper killed! Aberama Gold finally going to get revenge on Jimmy McCavern, but oh, he's killed too! Stabby stab! They come for Arthur too, but oh, he manages to get the jump on him. Yes, someone leaked Tommy's plan, but apparently didn't tell Mosley. He doesn't seem to know anything about it. So Tommy's racking his brain trying to figure out who betrayed him, but it was probably an accident from his younger brother Finn. Earlier, Finn was like, hey Tommy, I'm a character on the show, and Tommy was like, you know what? You are. To give him something to do, they set him up with an old soccer player to work together to fix football games. But mostly these two did just a bunch of cocaine. And so Finn let it slip, we're assassinating a fascist, and this guy who has no particular loyalty to the Peaky Blinders reached for the phone. And so as season 5 ends, Tommy Shelby did not win. He walks off into the fog where he hallucinates Grace like time to join me, and he puts a gun to his head. Does Tommy shoot himself? Find out in the 6th and final season of Peaky Blinders. If you like this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies. And if you loved this recap, check out the join button and support the channel as a member.